And then last but not least, we need them to buy something from us. Now, the way do we go? The way do we get them to do these things? It's not by simply hoping that they do it. We must ask them to do it. So you got to ask somebody to do something. You can't just sit there and assume that they're going to buy because you are who you are. That's not going to happen. You have to get there. You have to get them. You have to ask them to buy, purchase, do whatever.
Welcome to the Social Mojo Podcast, the place where entrepreneurs and creatives come to discover the secrets behind building a powerful, engaging brand without spending a fortune. Let's meet the host, Mr. Anthony Porter, your guide on this journey to harness the power of organic social media. In each episode, we dive deep into the strategies that work, sharing insights, actionable tips, and success stories from experts and trailblazers who've done it all. From planning your content with precision, growing your audience authentically, to monetizing your passion effectively, we've got you covered. So, whether you're just starting out or looking to elevate your social media game, stay tuned. Because here at the Social Mojo Podcast, we're all about making your brand unforgettable, organically.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's day 11, and it's time to make some money. So today, let's dive into the art of the call to action. So in this podcast, that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the art of a call to action. With that great, well-timed call to actions, your listeners tend to not listen. You're not going to do anything other than listen. And that makes sense. It didn't, because they listen, but then they won't listen. But if you don't have a good call to action, they're not going to do nothing but listen, and then it's going to be short. So that's what I meant by they will listen, but they won't listen. And great thing, or great that they're listening. We're not making the money, and that's how they done. That doesn't do anything for you. Doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't do anything for any other podcaster, because we're not getting them to monetize. We're not getting them to generate any capital for us. So we need our listeners to do a number of things. If you want them to have, or if you want them to have a good experience, and or if you want to have a growing monetized podcast, these are the things that you need to get them to do. We need them to spread the word. That's number one. Spreading the word. Number two, we need them to follow, rate, and review. That's important. Following you, rating, and reviewing you is very important when it comes to your podcast. We need them to opt into the email list. Our email list is where the money's at. The list is in the money. The money's in the list. I say it backwards every time. I'm so sorry. The money is in the list. Real quick, if Mr. Zuckerberg and Meta decide they want to close, you got an email list about anything. So rule of thumb is, for every person you have on your email list, you should be able to make $1.50 to $2 easily. And then last but not least, we need them to buy something from us. Now, the way do we get them to do these things? It's not by simply hoping that they do it. We must ask them to do it. So you got to ask somebody to do something. You can't just sit there and assume that they're going to buy because you are who you are. That's not going to happen. You have to get there. You have to get them. You have to ask them to buy, purchase, do whatever. And we just, we don't want to make it sales. We don't want them to be like, oh, that's all they keep doing. You got to give them some value. You got to make sure that they understand that what it is you're offering, is something of value. And that value can help them along their journey. And along their journey, they get to this point where you pop out with an offer maybe a week or two down the line. And they're like, oh, well, we got great value, free value from the podcast host and his courses or her courses. And now we want to be able to purchase the full aspect of life so we can monetize, grow, and do what we need to do to get our business up and running and jumping, just like they're asking you and showing you and teaching you how you should do. So, in fact, if you pick the right call to action and make the call to action at the right time and in the right way, guess what? Then your listeners will be thrilled to oblige. They'll be glad that you asked. Like, really, they'll be glad that you asked them. Like, oh, they finally asked me. I've been waiting to see exactly what this was going to be. So they finally asked me. So how do we do it? Well, it's simple. How do you do it? It's simple. There's three ingredients. Remember, we mentioned this before. There are three ingredients to a super effective call to action. Number one is what? CTA. What do you call to action? Number two, when are you call to action? And the last but not least is how you go about doing it and how you call to action. The how is a bit of an art form, but it's doing it. It involves writing a persuasive yet non-salesy piece of copy. Copy is the information that you use with inside. You'll hear me say copy a lot. Copy is the information that you use with inside your sales funnels, emails, your websites. All of this, that's copy. Okay. So, and we'll cover that in the next video, the next lesson, the final lesson, which will be, tomorrow's lesson. Today, though, let's cover the pieces that are more of a science, the what, the when. So when you talk about the CTA on the podcast, let's jump into it. We are at level 4, and that's the monetization, and that's what we're trying to monetize. We're trying to get paid. We're trying to build trust as well as monetizing our product. Is letting the people know exactly who we are, what we do, and why they should deal with us. Correct. So we discussed that before. Now it's how do we get them to do it? So there are actually multiple things for us that we can see to that will impact other levels of the podcast sessions, successful ladder that we've discussed in the beginning. So that's because there are 5 main things that, okay, we want to regular CTA within our podcast. Number one is we want to rate and review. Simply yet surprisingly effectively ask your listeners to leave you a rating or review, or tell a friend to tell a friend about your podcast. That's a great way to get, the word out on the street. Because if you got your podcast hooked up to your My Business page, and somebody just happens to be searching, let's say, business coaching, and you pop up, they can listen to your podcast. If they're on their LinkedIn, their Instagram, their Twitter, their Facebook, it doesn't make a difference. Wherever they're located at, you can do, if we're connected with your reviews and all of that, then guess what? This happens. People will start to see those reviews. You read them all the time when you grocery shopping. When you're looking for something on Amazon, you see it all the time. So, number 2, let's talk lead magnets. A workshop, masterclass free, PDF, video, webinars, all of these through email are great. Like I'm in the process right now of creating a 5-day Instagram challenge using stories. Because using stories is an effective way to market and sell your products. People see stories because, listen, if you watch BMF or you watch Friends, Living Single, Martin, FBI, NCI, it's all of my stories. And if you do your stories the right way, people will tune in to you. And then you can feed them, nurture them, and then sell to them. Number 3, you should be able to sell your products and services. Because you got a course you want to sell, you got an ebook you want to sell, you got a consulting business, you got a coaching business. All of these are things that you can sell with inside your podcast. Number 4, sponsors and sponsorships and affiliate marketing. This is where you partner with somebody and they uh, allow you to promote their products and you get a small commission for it. And then this is optional, but social media and online communities. You can also CTA listeners to follow you on social media. You can also have them to join your community. And if you have them join your community, paid community, I suggest a free community because you can give them all the value stripped down. It's like going to buy a car. It's like going to buy the Jeep Wagoneer, or you're going to buy the Range Rover. You going to buy the Range Rover, you want the Range Rover Sport. Either way. But guess what? Range Rover is a luxury vehicle. The Sport has more in the engine. Like Lexus has the ES300, the GS350, the IS250. IS is the small one, the GS is the big one. So pay versus free. Free, you strip it down, give them some good value, but minimum bare bones, and then you boost it up to the other one. Now, I know what you're thinking. There's a lot of stuff for a CTA. And trust me, believe it or not, it is. But here's the key to all of this information. We do not CTA them all at once. Okay? We only ever CTA one of the things at a time. One at a time. I'm not gonna hit you with every CTA all at once because now you're salesing. So, but how do you CTA all of those things is the question. How do you CTA all of those things? Well, you rotate them in and out. So if you've ever listened to anything that's dealing with sales funnels, you heard us talk about it in the sales funnel community. A/B testing. You test one, see if it works. You test another, see if it works. You look at the metrics. And when you look at those metrics, guess what happens? Those metrics tell you that A works better than B, so you scrap B, save it for later. You use A, right? All right, so now you talk about that when you come to your CTAs. Now, making rotational CTAs. To implement a rotational CTA, you create 3 to 5 CTAs from the options above, what we talked about, from what we discussed. And then you rotate them out from every episode to every episode. So say you got an episode today, use a CTA. Tomorrow, you use a CTA. Wednesday, you use a CTA. Now, if you're only using 3, by the time you get to day 4, 5, and 6, you just re-involve or you add 3 more CTAs. And that's what you do. It's like with your lead magnets. If you got a lead magnet, you put a lead magnet. You might use a free video. You might use a cheat sheet. You might use a roadmap. You might use all of that. But if you use a cheat sheet Monday, a roadmap Tuesday, a free video Wednesday, a masterclass Thursday, by the time you get to Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, which being an entrepreneur, 7 days a week, 400,000 hours out of the year, you're going to pivot back to the point where you start with the one you started with in the beginning. Okay? Now, you do that, you follow it up, and it might lead you to your coaching programs. Because if somebody purchases, somebody gets the free, and they're enticed by a low ticket item that can lead them, it's like when you do this, you give them something free, which feeds them to want to get you give them the appetizer, which then in turn leads them to the meal, the main course. And then your signature program is your dessert. And for most, it's the late night snack. So having a 3 to 4, having the rotation of 3 to 4 at any given time is great. You know, a lot of people don't understand that. It's great to have that rotation. So you have the rotation 3 to 4 times, 3 rotations in a week. Week 4, you go back to starting with the rate and review. So if you get the rate and review, you start on Monday. By the time you get back around, you should be starting back on Monday. Now, when you do that way, it benefits you by doing this. You're only CTAing one thing at a time, and you're not overwhelming your listeners with a task. You're spreading things out so that the listeners doesn't get jackhammered with the same CTA each and every episode. You're giving your listeners multiple ways that they have to take a step with you. You're walking them through a journey, so you're giving them multiple ways they can take a step with you. And some will only want to review. Some might not want to go and review. Some want to review. If that's the case, they're only going to want to review, and that's when you might get them. You never know. All right. By hitting all the major CTAs, you're reaching every listener, regardless of where they are in the audience or buying journey with you. So now, Tony, that sounds great. I know that's what you're saying. Tony, that sounds great. I know now to have multiple CTAs, correct? You do know this. I hope you took some notes. That I can rotate in and out. But when within my episode do I put my CTA? And that's a good question. So, I talked to a good friend of mine. He's got a podcast. I got another friend where he was asking the same question. Him and his loved ones are doing a podcast, and want to know because we're discussing this with these round tables, these brunch breakfasts we have, and everything. The question came up is, one podcast. There are three main on a podcast. There are three main ad placements, aka three main places you can put your CTA. That's pre-roll, mid-roll, post-roll. Pre-roll is in the beginning. You place it before the episode when the content is being brought up. When people press play, that's the first thing they're gonna hear. Pre-roll. Mid-roll is when you get to a point where you take a break. If you've ever watched $1 million worth of game, Gilly or Wallow, one of the two, will sit there and right in the middle of the episode. I know Amsterdam is one. I just seen where I do believe they was being sponsored by Body Armor. I was watching the episodes just the other day. So they did it in between segments of the podcast. I think the podcast was like 3 minutes. I mean, not 3 minutes. Oh my God. 3 segments long. And when I seen it, I was like, oh, they hit you with the Amsterdam, with the Body Armor. They hit you with some other stuff. So yeah. That's how they do. That's how Gilly and Wallow $1 million worth the game. You guys mid roll. And then last but not least is post roll. Post roll can be tricky because it's at the end. If your content is not well off to where people are all the way to the end, you're gonna miss out on this one. So which one do you prefer? Well, we discussed the pre-rolls in the beginning. I recommend you avoid pre-roll. Pre-roll will have you turning people away before you even get started. Post-roll, we just talked about that one. Post-roll is at the end. If your content is not strong enough in the beginning, people will leave. So midway through your episodes, you feed them, you nurture them, you hit them with the advertisement, you come back to your episode, you hit them again, maybe 5 or 10 minutes later. Not perfect 10, especially if you got podcasts over 20 minutes long. So you can pop them, 5 minutes, 5-minute episode, boom, 5-minute episode, boom, 5-minute episode, boom, excellent, done. I mean, conclusion and done, not call to action. So that's cool, Tom. Yeah, I know. I'm not trying to sound arrogant, but I've studied data science. I've studied past land. Trust me, they do, and it works. So, again, a minimum of 3 to 5 mid-roll rotations per week. To get the more bang for your buck, throw in some post-roll rotations as well, just to see, just to test it out. Because why not? So why not? Why not do it? Why not get the bang for your buck? Just toss it out there. See if it works. Because what you do is how you B-roll test that. So let's say you have, let's say you promote body armor and you promoting, let's say upper nose. We're going to keep it a buck with you. So you promote body armor in the first segment. In the second segment, you promote Uncle Nurse, right? But then at the end, you might be promoting, let's say somebody pays you a sponsorship and you're promoting their product at the end. So one episode you do like that, right? So let's say you're doing a podcast for a week. You do it that way. Body armor, Uncle Nurse, and then the person that is paying you, right? You're trying to help them out, giving them a budget package. And then you shoot 3 episodes a week. And so they're paying you for 2 weeks, 3 episodes a week, 10-minute slot. 10, 15-second slot. The next time you shoot, you put them in the middle and spread everything else out. And then the next time you shoot, you put them in the beginning and spread everything else out. Everything else out. And then you look at your metrics. Because ways to track who bought, when they bought, and when they clicked. So you can have a click through something. That's how you do it. There you have it. That's it. That's the science of what and when on the CTA, on the podcast. You're not done with CTAs yet because when placement is key, the language that you will be going through is actually to make the CTA even more important. And that's when and what we will be covering in the next and final episode. As we wrap up the 12 days of Impactful podcasting with Tony. All right. And I'm going to see y'all when I see y'all. Man, don't forget to click that like and subscribe button. And make sure you turn that notification on. All right. I'm going to holler at y'all in a minute, man. Peace.
And that wraps up another episode of the Social Mojo podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in and spending your time with us today. We hope you found our conversation insightful and engaging. Don't forget to subscribe to the Social Mojo podcast on your favorite platform, and be sure to download the episodes so you never miss out on our latest content. Your support means the world to us, and it helps us continue bringing you great discussions every week. A special thank you to our incredible executive producers, Sincere and Charlie Straughter, Rhea Cash, and Theory Porter. Your vision and dedication make this podcast possible. Remember, the Social Mojo podcast is a proud part of the Amplified Pod Academy, where we strive to amplify voices and share stories that matter. Until next time, stay connected and keep the mojo flowing. Bye.